Some of you have been asking about how to make circuits using transistors. So today I'll show how I built the registers on my 8-bit SUBLEQ processor. Hello everyone, my name is Mike and you're watching Polymath Unlimited. Almost a year ago, I finished building a simple 8-bit SUBLEQ processor from individual transistors. I made a video previously covering how this processor works. I'll provide a link in the description if you want to check that video out. Since then, I've gotten a few comments asking for more specifics on how I designed the processor at the transistor level. For example, Caden Carlton asked how I designed the latches used for the processor's registers. This video will address this question specifically, but hopefully the concepts we talk about here will help other viewers who might have questions about building other transistor-level circuits. For this processor, I used NMOS logic gates built from two N7000 N-channel MOSFETs. NMOS is a family of logic circuits where the output is held high by a pull-up resistor. A network of N-channel MOSFETs pulls the output low depending on what inputs are supplied to the circuit. For example, if the transistor network consists of two transistors in series, then the output is held high by the resistor unless both transistors are active, in which case the transistors form a conductive path to ground, which brings the output low. In other words, the output is a 1 unless both inputs are 1. This means that this configuration forms a NAND gate. Other behaviors can be achieved by changing the layout of the transistor network. For example, if the two transistors are instead in parallel, then we get a NOR gate instead of a NAND gate. One of the things Caden asks about specifically, though, is how I was able to build the CPU with so few transistors. It turns out that if you were to naively build each individual logic gate exactly as listed in the logic diagram, then you end up with some redundant components that can be eliminated with some careful adjustments to the circuitry. I'll illustrate this by going over the design of my CPU's SR latches, which form the A, B, and address registers of the CPU. Here's a fairly standard gated SR latch implemented with logic gates. The two NOR gates are cross-coupled to form the latch itself, and the two AND gates control whether the set and reset inputs are active. If the enable input is 0, then the set and reset inputs don't do anything. But if enable is 1, then we can store a value in the latch using the set and reset inputs normally. This is all very standard logic gate level design, so I won't spend too much time here. Let's try to build this circuit with transistors. If we just build it directly how the logic gate diagram is laid out, then we need a total of 10 transistors to build this circuit. 3 for each of the AND gates, and 2 for each of the NOR gates. This works, but there are a lot of ways to improve this. I was able to reduce this design down to just 5 transistors. Here's how. We'll start by making a simple 2-transistor bistable latch. This can be done by simply cross-coupling two NMOS NOT gates together. This way, whatever the output of one of the gates is, the other gate will output the opposite value. In order to change the value stored in the latch, we need to force one of the transistor gates low by connecting it to ground. We can do this by adding a second pair of transistors. We now have an SR latch, and we can store values in the latch by using the set and reset inputs. This is all pretty standard so far. If we look closely at what we've built so far, we can see that what we have is essentially two cross-coupled NOR gates, just like in the logic diagram. However, there is a way to add the enable functionality of a gated SR latch by just adding a single transistor, instead of building two AND gates, which would require 6 more transistors. Let's think about what we are trying to achieve. What we want is to have a third input, which we will require to be 1 in order for the set and reset inputs to function. So if we add a single transistor between the transistors for the set and reset inputs and ground, then this transistor will control whether we have a connection to ground. So if this transistor is off, then the set and reset inputs will not affect our circuit in any way since the path to ground is being blocked by this final transistor. If the transistor is on, though, then we do have a path to ground and the set and reset inputs will function normally. And there we have it. We have just reduced our gated SR latch from requiring 10 transistors down to just 5. While actually building my CPU, I used lots of similar tricks to reduce the transistor count in the final machine. The thing to keep in mind is to always look for things like this. If there's a simpler way to accomplish the same behavior without having to explicitly build each logic gate in the diagram, then that will reduce the number of components drastically. Always keep in mind that a logic diagram is often not a construction blueprint per se. Rather, it is a specification that defines the desired behavior of an electronic circuit, rather than the physical layout of the electronics themselves. There are lots of other examples of this in my CPU's design. For example, my CPU uses only 12 transistors for each of the 8 full adders in its subtractor. I may do another video like this about that if there's enough interest. Consider subscribing if that interests you so you don't miss out. Do you have any other circuits you're wondering how to simplify using transistors? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching. Thank you to all of my subscribers, and I will see you next time.